But I know you specifically take umbrage with one individual.
No, I don't take umbrage with nobody but the truth.
Mm-hmm. But you do got funk with one individual though.
I don't have funk with nobody.
Oh,
no. Let me tell you. No, y'all look at it. You ain't never heard me say I got funk with nobody.
What's up, world? It's your boy Big Court of the Holdin Court Podcast, broadcasting live from where we at? Where we gonna say we at, Ken?
This is L.A., Los Angeles, California.
We gonna be L.A. right now?
I mean, or Hollywood. You've been saying Hollywood a lot too.
Burbank, Hollywood, all the same shit, man. What's up with your producer, Ken?
Man, chilling. It's
yeah.
Another one for the books.
Another one. We grabbing it, bro. So we got my daughter, Rachel Renee, in the house again. What's up, baby?
Y'all. We out here.
Yeah, that's my oldest right there. Y'all know I say that. I got to dote on her a little bit. Man, we got a special guest today, man. And I don't say that lightly. We got a real piece of LA history, doing a lot of good things in the community as well. He been around. He's seen a lot, you know what I mean? Very wise, very intellectual. He got something to say, man. We got the OG, Melvin Farmer. What's good with you, bro?
What's going on, man? Pleasure to have you and pleasure to meet you, young lady. And I enjoy it where we as blacks and other races where we can come together and do something where money not involved, where we're doing it from our heart.
For sure.
To give you information that could save somebody's life. Absolutely.
And that's why I built this platform too, bro. It was to enlighten, educate, entertain. You know, I like to say that the Holdin Court Podcast is black excellence and nigga shit all together. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So we keep that edge.
Yeah, you know, it starts from telephone to telling a nigga.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have to use the internet. Yeah. I get it the old-fashioned way.
That's
you know
right.
what I'm talking about?
That's right. That's
yes,
right.
Sir.
I want to dive into your history a little bit, you know, because I always try to approach this thing like people automatically don't know who you are. So you from L.A., you are one of the originators from A-Tray, correct?
A-Tray Gangster Crips. Yeah. One of the founding members, that was when I was 15, 1972. Mm-hmm. But at 14, up to 15, we were also a member of the West Side Crips, East Side Crips, and Compton Crips before they even been in. That's with Tookie and Raymond Washingtons and the guys you hear from that era back then. So that was at 14. By 15, we doing our own thing.
Yeah. Let me ask you, OG. You know what? Let me touch on that for a second, because when you and I first spoke, I called you OG, and you said that you didn't like that. Explain that, the rationale.
Because you hear him say original gangster OG. I'm not no original gangster. Mm-hmm. That's a different era. OG started back 71, 72, and it stood for original Crip. Mm. So now our era, which didn't last long, and very few even go by the code, or how they even come into this game, we get associated with their behavior. Mm. And so therefore, we're looked at where OG, and when I ask anybody, what OG mean?
Yeah,
you'll
me
hear
the same
a million
shit.
different goddamn answers.
Exactly.
Same thing happened when their asses get killed out here, and they go to talking about who did it. Mm-hmm. Oh, this set did it, this one did it. Mm-hmm. But it be some finality to it. So at the end of the day, I don't like to be called OG unless it's with a term of respect, because I don't look like it. I never worked a day in my life.
Mm-hmm. Do you think nowadays, especially like in the connotation of how I say it, it's a term of respect and endearment? You know?
It depends on if it's somebody that's telling you because they respect you for surviving what you went through, and say, I can, like Bloods. We just went to a half-ounce funeral. Mm-hmm. I'm the only Crip, but most people wouldn't realize that I knew this boy's mama. So this is intervention and prevention, where they learn something, where they watching their friend get buried. Mm-hmm. But here go folks to be allegedly Hatfields and McCoys, but they see his mother crying in my arms.
Right.
With their family. So then they realize, hey, man, wait a minute. Melvin know this boy mama, and we don't like Melvin them, not Melvin, but because they doing their thing at an early age. Then they say, hey, Melvin them, they know the grandmothers, the mothers, so it's a difference with an OG. Mm-hmm. These cats not old enough to go to where they'll see somebody, they friends' mothers. We've been in this game 5 generations.
Right.
So it's a different ball game with us.
So under your terminology and understanding, where do you feel like OG could start a person being?
Opportunity given. They need to change the language, man.
Yeah, yeah. But what age do you feel like somebody could be afforded that tag?
You can't. You're not an original unless you start something on your own. See, people assume when they hear the term OG, that means they've been in this game since the start. That ain't true. We didn't join no gangs. We started them. It's a big difference.
Yeah, real shit.
And I don't mean like, I told him Marvin them area, you had Manchester. You've always had gangs. You've always had gangs. This country built on gangsterism.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? It's interesting that you say that because that's what I wanted to segue into. So Raymond Washington, the histories, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but it's widely believed that he created and started the Crips.
It ain't no widely believed. Raymond and them started, they side Crips, Cribs.
Right.
You'll hear them arguing Crips or Cribs. It don't make me no difference because we don't went from being watered hoes to choke hoes, so it's all just evolution. But Raymond and them didn't know that we're from the West Side. They got into a fight at Boss Tom Cross Record Hop. That's how the West Side, East Side, Compton, and Watts them formed. That's the tree. Then the next thing after the West Side broke up, Raymond went to prison at an early age. Tookie went to working for juvenile hall. Then it started breaking into the sets and stuff like that. But Raymond Washington is the originator with Tookie and other ones where they collaborated. But Tookie ended up being more talked about because he ended up working with Bob Simmons and them and helping out in the streets, whereas the juvenile system treated Raymond a little bit more rougher. They'll rehabilitate Tookie. They punish Raymond. So a lot of his history is not very well spoken on because he didn't live that long. Both of them died in 79.
Right.
And I was with Raymond right before he got killed and with Tookie right before he got arrested in 79. So I know them men quite well.
Was the story of how Raymond decided to start the Crips based on the rejection from Munson? You know what I mean? And
I know Munson.
Not because I know it was said, excuse me, that Raymond wanted to be I think a baby Av, and Craig wasn't. You know, they wasn't respecting that shit. So
well,
Raymond
won't
was
say
like
rejection.
Okay.
What about if he was just telling them in a way not to get involved in this shit?
Okay. And so, is it true that's why Raymond was like, okay, I'm gonna do my own thing, and then birth the Crips?
But I doubt if it would be because of that, where somebody rejected you. Because if that was the case, they would have had a beef.
But didn't they say that Munson slapped Raymond, right?
Well, I don't get in about anybody saying because I don't look at it. What the hell you gonna tell about another man's business like that?
Right.
So I ain't gonna say yeah or nay. I ain't with that gossip shit.
Is that what Craig said though?
Well, I think if you ask me, have I heard it out of Craig's mouth?
Yeah.
He told me.
Oh, okay.
No, he told me.
Okay.
But like I say, what difference it make? When we was coming up, a lot of people got slapped.
Right.
But a lot of niggas came back and tore that ass up too.
Right.
Because they was older and they think they could get away with it. We don't like bullies.
Right. Right.
I promise you, young man. So don't get it twisted to where that made him a punk. That was something where they.
No, I wasn't saying it.
No,
like
I'm
that.
just saying.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, when you infer and you say, "Oh, he slapped him," a lot of people, Guy Walker would say Tookie slapped him. But that was something like an honor because you didn't run.
No, what? Matter of fact, we had Melly on, and he was telling the story of when I guess somebody got slapped by Tookie, and he said, "What'd you do?" He said, "Shit, nothing."
That's Guy Walker.
He said nothing.
I don't see a lot of people get slapped by Tookie, but I don't see a lot of people get slapped, period.
Yeah.
You know, what they used to see. You know, you watch the gangster movie and what they say, I'm going to get you, copper, tell it.
Yeah.
That's the little things where you wouldn't think that this shit, little things like that is what made big things now. They wasn't playing
No, real
it on
shit.
that. Real talk,
shit.
man.
Yeah, that's real.
It ain't as fantasized as they think. It's not that complicated.
So let me ask you, so where do you, so the inception of gangs and Crips, initially, what was the precipice for that? Like, why did it start was it to protect the neighborhood? Was it the racial shit with the spook hunters and all the shit? Or what was
you'll talk to Marvin a little about later, and he can address spook hunters, Compton, Watts. But on the west side, I moved on the west side where it's basically being from the south and starting integration. See, the west side is not the same as Compton, Watts, east side, because when we moved over there in '69, there was no blacks. So we didn't have older guys like Munson. Tookie and them would be the oldest, 18. We didn't have people running around. We had homes, golf courses, and all that changed. But I also grew up on the east side also. So I could see the change from over there. I grew up behind Bethune, which used to be California High, Jackson High. I watched them fight all day with their shoes off back in the day. But when it came to the Crips and Bloods and this mystique about them talking about they protecting their communities, they were in a certain way. But that's like, for instance, when Tookie, Raymond got into the fight at Sportsman Park. That's what started the dialogue to bring them together. It's because they came over there testing the water, and that's what happened. So in a sense, they would, because back then, you wouldn't pray in your community. I didn't ever go to jail to 77 police station, but about 2 or 3 times. But when it come to going to jail in other communities, Newton's, Southwest, I done been there a lot of times because it's easy to attack a stranger.
Right.
Very easy.
Right. So would it be fair to say that maybe like the Bloods and the Pyrus formed because they didn't want to conform to the pressure of Crips because they were big, they were huge. It was a lot of them, and they were trying to force motherfuckers to, get down with the program.
I won't say the pressure of the Crips, or were they really trying to force you to be shit? It was, this is what we doing, and this is how it's getting down. So trying to force you to be a part. You got to remember, these guys only 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 years old at the max. Wow, they talk about the Black Panthers, they feeding lunches. These guys talking about taking lunches. So you got a difference in dynamics. When you hear them talking about, they was for revolution and all this shit. Who in the hell at 14 gonna be thinking about being a goddamn Pancho Villa?
Yeah, right. Right.
No, we didn't know what we doing.
Yeah.
And we didn't really gangbang that long. I ain't never been arrested for a black-on-black crime, and I've been arrested 60 times.
Damn.
Yeah, did 30-some years in prison, but it ain't been for no blacks.
Yeah.
I sit and hear the misuse of the internet where they brag about fighting in front of the police. But when we started going to prison, we had to basically kill a police, and that has been done. So they talk the talk, but in California particularly, when you're young and go to prison, usually when you come out, you have a different perspective of black-on-black crime, which we don't want to say.
Yeah. Real
but
shit.
Because we've been attacked and been tested by the Mexican Mafia, the Aryan Brotherhoods, the UBN, the Black Panthers, all these factions to where you see that they're only trying to kill you because of the color of your skin and they're not playing. When you come out, you back up a little bit off your own people. Yeah. So that's how that goes.
So let me ask you, do you think that maybe like because I know in your day, even with the gang shit, it didn't become as vicious. Like it did in terms of gang violence, in terms of the drive-bys, automatic weapons and shit like in the 80s. Do you think the crack era exacerbated the gang bang shit where it really just went wrong into where we are today opposed to when you started, when it was like you said,
it really went wrong because
keep it moving.
They didn't come in the way. You got to remember, a lot of these guys say they gang members where they can say they read a book and joined the Crips. Or they can just like this and say they're a Crip. They didn't come in the same way we came in.
Right.
We couldn't be no rapper, actor, anything, but what did happen to make it more prolific to where the nation started hearing about it is when they brought the cocaine in, the weapons changed also.
Real shit. You
so
went from
now
38s
weapons,
to 9s
it went
to
from
AKs
Saturday
and
Night
Uzis,
Fevers and sling shots and stuff like that to where now they using automatic weapons.
Yeah.
So right when they also was bringing in the cocaine, that was one of the most devastating things as far as the violence.
Right.
But it's because of the weapons you use, the weapons of war, so it makes it look more, and the wounds you get are different. So it ain't just as violent, I promise you. All my friends, usually if you sit them down, and they're going to have three things in common, if they still living.
Yeah.
They're going to be done did over 30-something years in prison at the end of the rainbow, or either they're going to be done had a murder conviction, or either they had 40 or 30-something arrests by the age of 17. Because the juvenile fitness hearing, which everybody get now, didn't start till 1975 behind the behavior of the brown and black youths in California. Look it up. So a lot of times people don't really know the history of the Crips and Bloods and what it's done to America. You got the juvenile fitness hearing, you got gang enhancements, you got all kind of stuff. So when I hear about rappers' lyrics and all this, or anything to do with rap, they don't impress me because they're talking about the stuff that these guys did to create the image. South Central.
Yeah.
They see that image. But the image of South Central is from the guys before them to where now don't went to that. And they think this South Central. This ain't South Central.
Right.
Where it ended in 48 hours. This
Right.
48 years of this shit.
Yeah. So I know you got a history in music as well. Early on in hip hop and rap. What was your what did you think when you first heard like NWA and the gangster shit coming out of LA and Compton? Because this was like ground zero for gangster shit.
Nah, we before that.
Yeah, I'm saying
Right.
rap. Yeah.
Rap. Before that, you forget. I was a member of Grand Jury Records with Michael Conception. We made the first video ever with Boogie Down Production, Nothing But Self-Destruction.
I remember
And then we made Nothing But We All in the Same
the
Game.
same gang, yeah.
Right. That's
Yeah.
before them, right up in there. So we had been talking about, 89, all that's about the same.
We in the same gang after NWA.
Is it?
after-
Okay, but
that's
I
after,
know
yeah.
when I met NWA, don't forget, I'm going back and forth to
Right.
jail. This how I knew, I already knew them, but this is what year I'm talking about. Whatever year, what's his boy name? DOC.
Fucked up is it's
I
89. Yeah.
That's 89.
89. Yeah.
Okay, 89. We up at a celebrity game with Mitch Richmond. We all at El Camino College, and he had on a long leather coat,
Yep.
and he had a blue scarf, but he was crying. Despondent, I won't say crying, but I didn't know who he was, but he walking me, Michael Conception, Hot Dog, Half Ounce, and Fred, and they NWA and behind us, but I didn't know who he was, MC Ren and all them. And I heard him saying, I'm through with money, I'm through with money. My voice gone. That's what he was saying. He said, I'm over with, I'm done. And then I didn't know who he was, and I tell Mike, man, what's wrong with this brother here, man? Bam, and come to find out, he just was getting out the hospital for the wreck. And then I know after that he moved to Dallas.
Right.
I think.
That's where you from.
So
yeah.
I don't know where he from. I just know
Yeah.
recall what happened. So we had been in that with we all in the same gang, Grand Jury, and we were talking about the contents and the graphics, which they talk about today, emulating us. So we had Ice-T.
Yep.
Dr. Dre did the beats. Young MC was at USC.
Yep.
Mitchell A.
Yep.
Jewel, Trey 5-7, Tone Loc, Humpty from Digital Underground. MC Hammer. You had
Easy ended.
Easy, all them. But look at those cast of characters and artists then. They the equivalent of Dr. Dre or anybody back in that era. So then we went to Teddy Riley next. This before Missy Elliott, Magoo, and Timbaland. They was a trio before they was even brought out. We was with Rex and Effects. That's how Mike's worked for him 6 years. And then, but they all out of Virginia.
Yeah,
But Mike
yeah.
worked with Teddy Riley for 6 years.
Right.
And then they took a chance. Teddy Riley introduced him to Russell Simmons. And from then on in, he made the Jews, met the Jews, which everybody out here talking about, which is nothing new.
Right.
This game been going on like that. You got to go through them to get in this game.
Right. Right. So you had your fair share of your music experience. So you say you was going back and forth to prison. How did you spend your time in prison since you spent so much of it in there?
Well, it depends on the era. When you're a juvenile, you're pretty much gonna learn a trade or going. But at this time, we gang banging. But I've always read a newspaper. I'm always reading. I just finished a course where I'm fit to be a tax preparer. Where I just did 24 on my own to be a tax preparer.
Nice.
So now, as Crips and Bloods, we're fighting in there, but not as a violent way. But I also was an athlete where I was the #1 ranked basketball player in the city. So
what position you play?
I played point guard.
All
well,
right.
I played all around guard because I won. I was the leading scorer. All my teams won. Reggie Theus. Everybody know Melvin messed up. So a lot of times I'm playing baseball in there. I'm playing football. But I got out of jail twice because of my skills where they say, hey, man, we see you play ball. You got a future. But basketball ain't like it is now. Baseball was the pastime, not football or basketball.
Yeah.
And I made a choice, the corners of the courts. When I should have stayed on the courts,
Right.
I was on the corners.
Right.
But that didn't just come from bad decisions. It also come from being in the inner cities where the older guys, Tookie and them, don't been going to their parties, say at Harvard Park, fighting with these guys. And when we come as kids to play sports, they getting at us because we from St. Andrews. See, they don't look at it like you just go and join up. A lot of times it don't be peer pressure, but it also make it to where, only thing stronger than a man's pride is a mother's love out here in these streets.
And I know you said to me that a lot of your criminal behavior was you just wanting to provide for your mom.
Anything, I've never been to jail for nothing but taking. We don't have the opportunity to go and sell dope and credit card fraud and all that. You had to go and get it.
Yeah.
But I always did somewhere I wanted my mama to live the life and not have to work. So I don't rob fur coats at the age of 15, 16, where I don't give everybody mama fur coats. On Christmas, give them Rolex watches with the rings.
Damn.
All this kind of stuff I've done before. I really have been robbing the hood, for the hood.
Was you out in the 80s? Was you getting them Daytons and shit too?
Nah, I don't do
You weren't doing none of that?
We was doing that before they even invented carjacking, when we was taking Kragers, young man.
I remember Kragers.
So, Krager critters.
Kragers and the 2
and the
inches,
Rockets.
yeah.
We used to take that and make you buy your shit back. I got an article where you can see from 1976 where they actually say. In fact, we got indicted for extortion, kidnap, robberies, and murders. And don't they hear this black on black? Oh, no. That's the difference between the guys that were original Crips and Bloods. Anybody could get it. And quite as it be, they didn't go outside to where I hear people, I'm glad these Bloods and Crips getting killed. Like that gonna make a difference. When they got in this game, they know they could get killed.
Right.
So that's the difference. We knew what we were signing up. Now you see innocent people.
Yeah.
That didn't happen in our era. We played square and fair.
Right.
So now a lot of times we'll have a gun on you in one hand and shaking your hand saying we giving you a pass. We didn't just do it like that. There's no honor amongst these cats now.
Yep.
That's the difference in the game.
What you think that's attributed to? The viciousness is more vicious and heartless and hateful. What you think that's attributed to?
It ain't. It's just not caring. It's not playing by the rules, because most of these guys in here, they haven't threw a rock in a race ride. They got more graduation pictures than mug shots. So how they gonna talk about something that they never experienced? No amount of money can buy you wisdom.
Right.
And people think money is the most important thing. It is for certain things, but I bet when your ass go to jail and you ain't got no bail, like you hear him talking about who gonna tell and Young Thug, information count.
Yeah, real shit.
That mean I can tell about a murder, something, and walk right out this jail with an ankle bracelet to where I can have all the tea in China and all the money in the world, and I won't be able to get out. So I look at information that's more important than money in certain contexts and contexts when we come to it. But as far as what escalated to violence and stuff like this, I don't think it's nothing but over time and evolution. It's just natural. But the real question is, why are we still doing it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what you gonna do? Anybody can sit up and talk and sound like a king shit a third island when they know the answer.
Right.
Until that teacher asks you to step to the board and show me how you got the answer.
Right. Right.
I hear a lot of them talking some of the craziest shit, but it's believable because nobody's sitting next to them to oppose them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like Hitler.
Fact
He
checker.
controlled the Jews through propaganda. Blacks are the most talked about, not hated, ridiculed from other races where they looking at us like buffoons. Got a nigga that's a snitch talking. Got everybody talking about shit where they don't know nobody. Y'all got the race looking fucked up out here. We out here on the streets.
So
Y'all
dig,
not-
so
most
dig
of 'em
that.
not.
I'm glad you said that though. So that's true what you said. Other races do what they do, but what about us? Because we like the only race. We're the main race that uses social media to fuck over each other. You know what I mean? We get in social media, we air out each other, we down each other, we try to. So what do you think that's attributed to? Like, why do we do that? Why we don't see white Hollywood or white influencers doing
Because they don't need the money. This is a cheap hustle, man. They'll let anybody on here. I see a guy that be on everything where everybody thinking, oh, he talking, but all he doing is being a male hoe, like being a renegade bitch without a pimp, to where they put him on there because they can't get guests.
that? Yeah.
So they'll put one guy on here where he'll say something crazy. They get their sound bites and likes and ain't even talking about saving nobody's life. So that to me is pimping by proximity.
Yeah,
young
yeah.
man.
So the individual that you're talking about, which we know who you're talking
No,
about.
I'm not. No, it's just a whole lot of.
Yeah, yeah. But
I
I
don't
know
have-
you. But I know you specifically take umbrage with one
No,
individual
I don't take
specifically.
umbrage with nobody but the truth.
But you do got funk with one individual though.
I don't have funk with nobody.
Oh, gee.
No. Let me tell
didn't
you.
win on the
No, y'all
interview,
look
bruh.
at it. You ain't never heard me say I got funk with nobody.
So that's lingo. When I say funk, like I said, umbrage at first. You take issue with how dude do what he do.
No, I take issue with anybody, anybody that can sit up and say black kids should be killed, snitching on kids, still going to court. That could be with anybody, not just him.
So let's talk about that. 'Cause
Let's talk about that.
So
yeah, I don't need to
So
talk
you
about
saying
no
dude?
rats.
So
I'm
you
not.
saying? So you said the dude is that he went to jail in '91.
He went to jail, and in fact, Marv, get the transcripts. We're gonna read them off right now, young player. They right in my bag. I'll go get them later on, and we'll come back. He went to jail in 1991.
Okay.
18. When you hear him talk about, I was going to prison. That's not true. By September 22nd, him and his mother and his lawyer secretly went and told to make a deal to testify against the other 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds where they had spent the night together before that. They all knew what they were doing. Charleston White got caught first. He took him to the gun. He told him where everybody was at. He even went so far as to try to tell them about a burglary they did to get them another case. So that shit about he was going to prison, that's not true. He never was. He turned state's evidence, and I don't want to hear nothing about that's snitching or telling. Here's the problem that I have. I know plenty of people that don't tell. People make mistakes. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But when you have a key to somebody's room where he told and got them locked up, and now at 45 years old, you still going to the parole board hearing to tell them to keep him in jail?
Yeah. So what is that about? That doesn't make sense to
No.
me. What the hell is that
That's
about?
a sadist and a predator.
Yeah.
What would you
Because
go?
he was a co-defendant. He committed this crime with this guy.
And he told on
him
everybody.
he go to prison, and he's still keeping him in prison.
To this day, he go where the man been eligible to go to parole to get out. And like somebody, I don't know what y'all call it, but when you lock somebody up in a cell or something, and you can keep that man locked in there, that's kidnapping, abduction. That's not right.
And the victim's family even said that they was okay with him
That's
getting parole.
Sherry Blood. That's the victim, Michael Levy. Charleston White is a fake, man. He ain't did nothing. All you hear, ask him about the school in Memphis. I dare any of y'all to say, what's the name of the school? Careless listeners don't listen. He never say the school. You know why? He's up on an investigation for messing with a child. I got the video where we recorded it. And it's another one. He's never done nothing for nobody. He sit and he meet people and he talk bad about them, and y'all talk about what other people say, but y'all don't hold yourselves up responsible and accountable for the things other people say.
So let me ask you, bro, because I know you initially, his introduction to LA was through you.
He
right?
came to me.
He came to you, right? What was your impression of him initially?
Nothing. A lot of people come, but he wasn't nothing. I just embrace him.
Yeah.
You know, I don't gangbang. I'm just an all right guy. But when you messing with me, you know you're in pretty good hands. So he came to meet me where I got the video where he say, Melvin, I just had to come meet you. So I put him on shows where he talk. I usually hold an annual event for Tookie on his anniversary, his birthday and his execution, both of them in December. I got him on there with what you call him that used to do street gangs, Alex Alonso. Then I had him in there. He'd say, oh, I met Althea Moses and she told me to leave him alone. That's a lie. I introduced him to Althea Moses, and he wrote with me a curriculum. See, one thing that people need to understand on this internet that they don't really know, you can lie on here about somebody and not get sued because you're public.
Real shit.
So everything he say about me is a lie. Everything. But that's what he do.
Yeah.
He did boss talk, mother like that, his wife. Nah.
You talking about Miss Jamaica?
Yeah, he called her a bitch. In fact, I don't even see how he with Kanye West, where he said he'll rape and defile Kim Kardashian and kill his kids, but he up here with his buster ass. He don't represent L.A. He don't represent shit. LeBron James, none of them have anything to do where they gonna change the safety in these streets.
Speaking of that, so you being in the system and working in the community, you actually have your name on some legislation, you changed some shit around here. Right?
I read a law in 2000 called the California Three Strikes Initiative. You have to have a political action. This a good example about how people can say something, then you ask them. I hear people, oh, I wrote a law. Well, what is required to write that law? He won't be able to tell you. Y'all watching a fake. This is gonna be the worst scandal since Milli Vanilli. And they won an Oscar. Shit. So I wrote a law. Hold on, I'm gonna get you, young player. I got you. Like Memorex. So anyway, in 2000, I also wrote a book in 1997, 98 called The New Slave Ship, Three Strikes You In, where I predicted mass incarceration, because most people don't know I'm the first one in the history to ever get out up under the California Three Strikes law on a reversal.
Okay.
1997. So when I was on the level 4 yard, the brothers there said, don't forget me, man. Don't forget us. So I did what I can. I wrote a book, and I've been bringing awareness to mass incarceration ever since to get them out. So in 2000, with Valerie Monroe, Families to a Man, Three Strikes, which was facts, CATS, California's to a Man, Three Strikes, we created a political action committee, and we created a bill where we put it up for legislation in 2000. So, yes, I've spoken at the Senate. Then I used to have a radio show back in 2000 in Washington, D.C.
Right.
And I used to work with the death penalty focus out there. So it's a lot of things we've been doing to give back awareness and write laws. I've spoken at the Rayburn building, that's Congress. I've spoken on C-SPAN, that's the Senate. I've been to all that.
Yeah.
Black colleges, most of this stuff is not new to me.
Yeah, so I'm curious. I know you did, like you said, you did a substantial amount of time in prison. What did you learn when you were in prison?
To mind my business.
Okay.
And another thing about this shit, when you done time in prison, men have disagreements.
Right.
All the time. But they learn to walk away.
Yep.
But on the streets, when they have a disagreement, once again, their pride get in the way.
Yep.
And they come and use extreme force. I see so many people
Pride go
die
before the fall.
to where they could walk away.
Absolutely.
And just let it go, but their pride won't let them do it. Their
Pride's
a motherfucker, man.
Like I always say, bro, the cemetery full of tough niggas, you know, and the penitentiary full of niggas that had to show them tough niggas what time it was. So it's a lose-lose.
If they get caught.
It's a lose-lose situation.
Because silence is violence. I've never been arrested for not one violent offense, young man.
Yeah.
But what happens in this game, these guys take it as a badge of honor.
Yep.
To be tough.
Yep.
Look at you. We don't even say hello to each other.
Right.
It's where you from.
Right.
What kind of shit is that?
Right.
Asking where you from.
Yeah.
And this type of, so some of these conceptions, particularly about the West Coast.
Yeah.
You got the South that's been brought up on slavery, count the dudes that look like they from Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah.
And then we out here in Los Angeles where we're more liberal.
Yeah.
And they don't understand this. Like you'll hear Mar might say, oh, I'm the oldest living active Pyru, and everybody, oh, he gangbanging. No.
Right.
Marv is in a situation where you got to stay active because they will test you just because you there.
Yeah.
So what am I gonna do? Either I'm gonna stay in the house or I'm gonna carry me a pistol because you got them that can control guns where they can carry them. But what I'm gonna look like being out in a field where they carrying weapons and I'm coming with a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
So that misconception is really messed up. And another thing, when you hear them say, oh, I'm from the 60s, I'm from the 80s, I'm from here. Another misconception, because L.A., it's so big.
Right.
You don't have like Hancock Park, none of that. Everything, when you say we have numbers, first to 200, and you'll know, oh, I stay in the 20s. Okay, he right off Adams. Oh, I stay on 83rd. As opposed to when you stay in Atlanta, oh, I stay on Snapfinger Road in Wesley's Chapel. That's when I was in Decatur. But they don't have numbers.
Right.
So it's very difficult. So when they hear us say names and numbers, they assume we gangbanging, when really that's an area where we're identifying the community in which we stay in.
Right. Let me ask you this. So do you think, I mean, and you're older than me, shit, you
too old to work and too young for Social Security.
You probably got a child my age. So do you think that y'all failed my generation, and my generation, we failed these young niggas?
Well, I don't know your age, but I know
I'm 46.
Okay, well, that's 20 years behind.
Yeah. And
that's what happens. So we ain't failed nobody because we ain't influenced nobody where nobody ever asked us. They chose to do that. So nobody I grew up with, nobody.
So let me ask, I got to push back, OG. So if you, at the inception, you, Raymond, Tookie, y'all crippin', y'all start that whole understanding, you know what I'm saying?
But this the difference.
Then my generation come in and we pick that up in the crack era, you know what I'm saying? And then, of course, the systemic part of it is what it is. I mean, that does its part. But I'm saying, was y'all giving, you know, my generation, what was you passing down to us? Was it gangbanging? Was it hustling? What was it?
By then, young man, see, you got to remember, we didn't gangbang that long. We went to getting money.
Right.
We cut the ball loose to y'all. Yeah. So you asked them.
Yeah.
That would happen. See, like they.
But but let me push back. Even if you're not gangbanging, though, right? You said even though you weren't actively gangbanging, you were still doing what you was doing.
But I ain't never told nobody to do nothing wrong in my life.
Well, you don't gotta tell them, right? Sometimes your actions. Sometimes
no, but my actions have never. My actions have never shown no kid to do nothing wrong. Don't forget, young man, that's a myth. Y'all have it seem like guys still gangbanging after 20. It's a short period of real gangbanging.
I ain't talking about just gangbanging. I'm saying just in general, just criminality, just the get down in general.
I ain't with that. I'm not a drug dealer.
Right.
I'm a jacker.
So
that's it.
You showed us how to jack.
No. I ain't showed you how to jack because you going to learn if you come with me. But I ain't not going to trust you to do. You're not doing what. You know how much hard it take to go into a bank with a gun, with a
fucking
bullet?
Right. Yeah.
They ain't built for that.
Yeah, you got to have
You got to have a mindset where 2 men in and 1 man lead. They ain't built for that.
Listen, I learned that early on, bro. I didn't have the temperament or because, you know, you got to have
You got
nerves
to have
of steel.
when that pistol pulled, you got
shit.
to be able to pull that trigger.
Yeah, I'm too. Well, see, that's the thing. Well, I don't know.
No,
we
it
cut
ain't
that
nothing
out.
wrong with
No,
it,
I was
but-
gonna say we cut that out, but I learned early on I'm too nervous because you'll fuck up. I would fuck up the play because
Now-
I'd be too nervous. I'd be too quick.
Now
on
let
that
me
thing.
tell you what
You know
I
mean?
am nervous about doing
Yeah.
when it comes to breaking the law, and I never done it.
Yeah,
Breaking into a house.
yeah.
I'm scared. I have no control over that situation.
Yeah.
I never sold dope. When you see me taking dope, selling dope, that mean I don't took some dope. Keys of dope. But we never robbed it blacks. The Harry-O's, the Freeway Ricks, all them we was doing in the 80s.
Yeah.
We had a saying, death to the high roller in the 80s. That's what we thought about drug dealers. But we never took down no blacks. Never.
Okay.
That ain't no money. Why we gonna do that? In fact, that's what messed the dope game up. Because the Latinos, the Contras, and all them, they're the ones that let the blacks start getting money on my side of town. But don't forget, y'all, we already knew about cocaine from the black exploitation era in films.
Right.
Comeback Charleston Blue, Superfly, Pimpin' Horn, that's the best thing going. But who at 15 gonna be thinking about selling a status drugs that's $50,000, $60,000 a key?
Yeah, real shit.
So that was a different ball game. So now when they come out and they start Ether Basin in 77, 78, they Ether Basin, and then it go to crack cocaine. But it was a status drug when we looked at it.
Yeah,
and
party
then
drug.
it got diluted, just like gang banging and a lot of other things through evolution. So a lot of times people get the era and back to about me. And I told Lamar and guys like us, you guys era do that shit. We don't need nobody to tell us how to go to jail or how to get my ass killed. So this ain't a pamphlet that come with instructions. I've never been around the original Crips, some of the biggest in the world, or Mar, where I heard him say, tell a black kid to do anything wrong.
Right. And when I say that, I don't mean like specifically you know. Was
No, but
telling
I'm
young
saying
niggas,
most
but-
people now,
and the-
when you
and the
talk
reason-
to them, they'll say, I'm up under this.
Yeah.
I'm up under that.
Yeah.
I'm with this car.
And
That ain't how the
and I
game
asked that just because, you know, even me knocking on 50, you know, the niggas up under me, they say it to us like, oh man, this is, you know, y'all ain't show us nothing, man. Y'all just got y'all money, y'all left the hood, y'all didn't come back and show us nothing. Y'all
See,
ain't
now
do-"
there go the
You
difference.
see what I'm saying?
When we left, we were so young, we ain't had no money. See, y'all up under where these guys having money.
Right.
Gang banging wasn't about having no goddamn money. That tell you how this shit don't change. Everybody's profiting off the shit that guys did that didn't even know what they did, talking about shit they have no business talking about or having any input in the facts of what we gonna do to solve the problem.
Right. And so now going to that, I keep wanting to call you OG, bro.
You can call me OG.
I keep
Ain't nothing wrong
catching
with
myself
it.
saying
Ain't nothing wrong with it though, because you,
I'm
say it
I'm
with respect.
Right. Or you know what? I'm gonna call you sir. How's that?
No, you
I'll
can call
sir.
me Melvin. Form. That make me sound like so handsome.
All right, Melvin.
Yeah,
All right, Melvin.
Form
All
is
right,
good
Melvin.
enough, young man.
So coming to that,
Coming.
what do you have, you know, super experience in the streets, in the legal realm, and you see where we are as a culture today with the music, the streets. Back in the day, it was like the streets influenced the music. Now
It's
the
still the
music,
same.
no, now the music is influencing the streets.
That's not true, young man.
No, I disagree.
Well, okay, I'm
I
gonna tell you
disagree.
why it's not true.
I disagree.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you. Let's hear your opinion. Why you think the streets? You think a rapper,
Yeah.
an actor,
Yeah.
or entertainer
These
gonna
rappers.
hold it?
Mm-hmm.
That sit way on Gilligan Island,
Mm-hmm.
gonna influence niggas that's standing right there, that's doing the very things they talking about.
Absolutely.
So now,
Mm-hmm.
you telling me if they change the lyrics, I wouldn't give a damn if they start singing Swing Low, Sweet Charietta.
Mm-hmm.
That ain't gonna change the shit and the conditions on the streets until you have economical empowerment
Yep, I agree. Yep.
to where they can start singing about jobs
Mm-hmm.
and go from tax burdens to taxpayers. You can stop the lyrics. Let me tell you about rap and their lyrics. You had the freedom to speak, First Amendment.
Yep.
So you can say any goddamn thing
Yeah.
you want. The only thing wrong with rap is there go, and what they tell you, anything you say like dragnet, anything you say can and be will used against you, correct?
Mm-hmm.
They only go to jail because they say shit that sit up there and implicate them in criminal activity.
Right.
So, what does rap influence the streets?
I'm going to tell you why. Because everybody is on this, right? So you got a lot of square ass rappers. Most of these niggas ain't even that. They not even what they rapping about, right? But they'll get on that fucking tape. They'll get on the song and they'll rap about it. They'll sensationalize it. Then squares just like them will emulate that. Then what happens is when they get the popularity and they get the money, then that's when they really lean into the shit. Think about this. Hold on. This LA. So you know how they do, right?
But I don't
So
see,
think about it. Think about it. How many celebrities, how many rappers and singers, I ain't gonna name no names, get money and ain't from here and run their ass to Compton, run their ass to LA and get up under some hood niggas. And it's like, you a superstar. You
but
that
go to answer to your question right there. What they saying on TV don't mean shit on no radio, no rapping, because they're not. All of them have somebody.
So what we talking about is influence, because this is what they'll do. See, they'll sell it.
Well,
they'll get the money and the influence.
I understand.
And then this is what they'll do. They'll get with some solid niggas to try to, they'll buy them. You know what I mean? And get them with them. And then talk to the people and say, look, I'm real, nigga. I'm Compton. I'm Pyro. It's like, nigga, you from North Carolina.
Let me put it like this. This way, two answers could be correct.
Yeah, for sure.
My niggas don't look and idolize rappers.
Yeah, the real ones. Yeah,
no, okay.
But we
so
talking about these kids, though.
Let me tell you what I think about when it comes to kids. And you got to go a little bit deeper with me, young man.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't the rappers. It's the parents that don't look at the discretion and let them look at rap as a way of babysitting them, and they let them look at shit without monitoring.
That's part of it.
And then when you come around, they sit up in here, and then you wonder why. Mm-hmm. It ain't about rap. Rap ain't at home when you know your goddamn kid up there stealing some shit or selling dope and your ass take money.
So let me say this.
What rap got to do with that?
So I'm not saying necessarily rap. I'm just saying the rappers, the message that's getting put out there.
No, what the thing to me about rappers is how they wearing all this gaudy ass fake jewelry, making you think that's the thing to do when they should be telling your ass to buy a home and invest it.
Nah, that's true.
So don't come at me about they influence
E40 said
shit.
that, yeah.
They don't influence a goddamn thing.
Nah, but they do.
Not to me, and to a lot of us on the streets.
But see,
they influence those that
they not. So think about it. A
20-year-old that a rapper mean
hold
a
on,
goddamn
bro.
thing.
A 20-year-old rapper is not gonna influence a 60-year-old man. No, we talking about the kids. So we talking about a 20-year-old rapper talking to other 17, 18-year-old motherfuckers that look up to him.
But he ain't talking about. He talking about drugs. He ain't talking about no goddamn going to kill nobody. They talking
that's
about.
That's all they talking about. Which is stepping.
Yeah, they talking about I carry chopping. Yeah.
Drill shit.
Drill shit. But I've been around it. But no music gonna make you do that unless you have it in your heart to do that, young man.
I disagree.
You thinking somebody? You take a lot of heart.
I disagree, because you know what? Even if this is the thing, right? Because I was a gangster rapper. I understand both sides of it, right? Even if it no more than influences that negative attitude. You see what I'm saying? You get a nigga who just really ain't with it, but he think he want to be with it, so he put on the uniform, he learned the lingo, he learned the energy, right? So he going with that. He going with what Young Boy and all these niggas done said, and Dirk and all of them. Yeah, I'm a stepper, you know what I mean? But then he run into a nigga who may be a little bit further down the line than him in that, and he really may be that, right? So then he get put on the spot. Yeah, I gotta have this attitude. It all starts with the attitude. The seeds that you sow. You campaign, at some point you're gonna get elected. You keep campaigning, you gonna find what you're looking for. So even if no more than turning a nigga out with that negative energy. And I'm not blaming rap. I'm not like necessarily pointing the finger and, you know what I'm saying, looking for a scapegoat. But I'm just saying, what do you think that we can do? Because that's the question I started with. What do you think is the fix for all of this bullshit, for all the negative culture? I mean, think about it. We celebrate criminality. Like, think about it. We real, even in LA. I know I'm from Kansas City, but I've been out here 20 years, right? And me and my daughter were just talking about this. Even if you think to a degree, us as a culture, we celebrate criminality, right? Criminality is what we equate that to being real. So when we say, oh, that nigga ain't real, that nigga ain't did a day in jail, that nigga ain't this, that nigga ain't that, it usually comes back to something negative. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like in LA, right? It's a thing with, you know, your gangster's verified if you've been to jail. If you ain't been to jail, then somehow or another you ain't real.
That's not necessarily true.
To an extent, but would you say that
no,
it is people that,
because I tell people,
to
see, you different than a different animal. That's what you used to be, but y'all ain't been around real OGs.
No, I'm saying, but I'm not saying you.
No.
I'm saying, but do you acknowledge that that is a thing that people do say they do subscribe to that?
But they also got people that tell a man, don't live this life I live the way if your ass listen,
for sure,
you won't have to go through it, like in case in point here. Y'all will listen to a nigga that ain't did one day in jail like he the king shit, and he ain't never experienced it. They can't come to the streets and talk to nobody. We can, so go ahead.
So that's what so you just kind of made my point. That's what I'm saying. So why is that? Why is that a nigga who ain't been to jail but still has life wisdom and experience can say, hey, youngster, you don't want to go down that road. You don't want to right from wrong. We understand what that is, nigga. You gonna get killed.
But a lot of them don't want to hear that. They
you know
want
why?
The glamour.
No, you know why? Because we celebrate criminality, and that's what I'm saying. So you
right?
My
no,
point
I got your point on that.
Yeah,
but that comes back to where they got their thoughts on the wrong. Everything I hear talking about. Let's go back to that's minor. Let's go back to what we can do.
Yeah,
I'm
for sure. Yeah, for sure.
I don't need to talk about no problems that they ain't doing.
What do you think the solution is?
I think the first start, it depends on if you're just talking about the internet, where I hear everybody talking about they got shows, they got podcasts. But everybody pretty much, and it's good that your show is positive.
Yeah, for sure.
But most of them aren't. So why not turn that negative energy where you have an audience to where we have to create dialogue, and now we all start coming together and talking about solutions, as opposed to talking about hurting each other,
people
doing
and all
this
that.
and people. That ain't cool, man.
Right.
So now, and then that take away. Why would you need? You don't need no Jews, no whites, or none of that to control your own dialogue. If you go look at Farrakhan, nobody can use a camera. Nobody can record. Hitler, he threw out pamphlets. The image of what we project is very powerful. Very powerful.
Yeah, he who
so
controls
even
images
before
controls
rap,
people's minds.
Yeah, that's come from way back.
Yeah,
Images can. Yeah, but we hear people like they just invented the wheel, say it, and and now all it is plagiarism, where they copying other people's things. So anyway, I think what we ought to start doing is create a dialogue, and not with rappers, actors, and entertainers, because once again, you talking, they have no input with the shit on the streets.
So what's the solution, OG?
We have to start dialogue first. Now, if you want to talk about it, depends. You want to talk about incarceration, education over incarceration. You want to talk about mental health. When I talk about, I have a mental health bill I'm introducing called ISIS, young man.
That's real.
That's
shit
called
right
ICSS. Because I feel that we as blacks and those that are brought up in inner cities up under the same conditions as war, to where the white man get their money for mental illness, I'm going to create a bill that's called ISIS, acronym, Inner City Stress Syndrome, where I believe people that are up under the conditions should be given some type of financial aid, mental health tests. There's a lot of things other than that. Homelessness, drug addiction, prostitution. I just did a show, the sex, drug trade, and missing people, and we'll hear people talk about, oh, I'm glad that girl got killed. What nigga gonna holler out a black girl only 14, and you niggas out here respect that about a grown man talking about? That's what I got a problem with. And if you can't get with that, stay in your lane, partner.
So
I got a problem with that.
What are you actively doing? Like what you got on the horizon right now?
Oh man, we got movies coming out. We provide jobs. We work with credible messengers. We work with mayors. I'm with Miss Martial Arts, where we do the kids, prankering.
You teach?
No, we are on a board to where it's one of the biggest in the United States for mixed martial arts, no striking. John Franks, a former Marv will tell you, a former FBI agent. We're the first one. Myself, Ayatollah Marv, and my boy Ruben Saldano out of, we're on the panel to look for pedophiles. Because these kids are from the ages are 6 to 18, but they're around adults. So we're on the panel where we'll vet you and look and see if you're eligible to be around them children. And I see people on these shows that wouldn't cut the tape to be there. But y'all sitting up here ha-haing and hee-heeing like a mule chewing on barbed wire. That's not cool, man.
OG, man,
cool.
where you get these slangs from, bro?
Oh, man, I can spit all day if I want. I'm a verbal wordsmith. But they make you laugh and make you cry.
Already make you think at the same time, man. Hey, so give me a message, man. Give me a message for the youth, bro. What would you tell them,
man, at the end of the day, man, sit and listen to guys. You know, I heard you say, I don't hate no Charleston White. I brought him in the game.
Yep.
You forget I saved his life when they had him. So the rules of the game is, if a man saved your life, you owe him his life. But he'll sit and lie because he got embarrassed at the little thing where he ran out. Then he started lying. Nigga, I ain't never slept in a park. Nigga, I ain't never been broke. Ever. Because I go to jail getting money. So I don't have to worry about getting broke. Don't worry about money. And it ain't about being tough. At the end of the day, when man tried to take my life through that back door, God gave me a new life, young man. Why am I sitting here? I don't have 2 life sentences by man. Don't been assassinated and every type of thing. But God spared me to come sit here to save youth, to speak for him. I've been in this game on television from MTV to Vlad TV.
Nice.
So this is nothing new. So you got to read about me in newspapers, not no podcasters and all that. So
your boots is on the ground when the cameras ain't around.
When the camera's not around. That's what we're trying to do, man.
That's right.
Is to make sure that another youth, not just anybody, it wasn't worth it, man.
Yeah, that's
we don't want nobody to go through the life taking somebody else's life to hear a mother cry. I heard that scream. And if you ever been and heard a mother howl like an animal to look at her daughter, because, you know, I'm from the era where they lift the cloth up right there to where you got to look at them in all their glory. Ain't no dressing up for this. So, you know, we just trying to do what we do.
That's right.
And to get back and stay tuned to what we got going on. We got Hidden Corners where I just started this business, LLC. And for anybody in the L.A., Riverside, Inland Empire area that looking for employment, we got a seasonal job, $17.50 an hour, part-time or full-time. I'm an advisor for Jackson Lewitt, recruiter. It's tax season. Whether you're on parole or whatever, I can get you a job.
All good, OG, man. Y'all got anything? Y'all good?
Yeah, this is good.
Okay. Hey, well, man, we appreciate you coming. OG Melvin Farmer, I'm sorry. Mr. Melvin Farmer, you know.
All right, that's
that's why I'm gonna respect your wishes. Man, I appreciate you coming to the Holdin Court Podcast, bro. We appreciate all the great things that you're doing in the community, bro. And I know you staying 10 toes on your shit.
Yeah,
so,
and I appreciate you having me
Absolutely.
here, man, and meeting your family. I sit and look at her looking like a girl, you a young lady. Because it's nothing like a daughter and love.
For sure.
You know, when a daughter, a lot of guys don't know, street guys, they don't know about love. But boy, once you have a daughter,
for sure,
and she feel you hear her little heart on your chest, you're gonna be in love.
Yeah,
and we out, man.
Both of
Y'all
mine right there.
All
right, man. Holdin Court Podcast is Rachel Renee, producer Ken, and Melvin Farmer. Yes, sir.
Thank you, man.
I appreciate you, brother.
One love.
I'm holding court, it's standing trial. Why ain't I see you round back when I was down? Karma's on the way. What goes around comes around. Karma's on the way. There's nothing you could do now. You gotta pay.